Hi, I haven't recorded one of these lectures in a while. Really, the biggest thing is I didn't find anything else on YouTube I really liked. So I'm not saying you're going to like this one either, but we'll see. This chapter, the last chapter in routing and switching fundamentals or essentials, is going to cover some administrative devices that an operator will need. Breaking down into three things. It's device discovery, what's in my network. It's how do I manage the time, because I'm sending synchronous message between all my devices, so I need to make sure that we're all on the same page all the same time. And if I want to record messages going on with my network. And then how do I maintain switch and router configuration and operating system files. So those are some of the major things that we're going to talk about. So let's look at the device discovery. Device discovery is actually done in two places. One, Cisco's got a device discovery protocol with CDP. CDP is Cisco's discovery protocol. It's sending messages automatically between devices all the time. You can see them by seeing show CDP neighbors or interfaces. You can turn CDP on and off, both either on a system-wide level or an interface level. So you can do it with CDP run or CDP enable. Now, how does this CDP work? It has one, it's got host names and device names. It's got port identification. So it's advertising what my name is, what ports are infected, what capabilities do I have, what's my hardware platform that you need to worry about. The second one is an LLDP. It's a link layer discovery protocol. It's similar to CDP, but it happens at, guess what, layer 2. So it's now looking at the data link layer. And the commands here are show LLDP, show run, or LLDP run, transmit, and receive. And then you got a couple of show commands, show me what my neighbors are, but it's basically the same protocol, just as a neutral vendor protocol. Now, device management. How do I want to maintain? Since all these devices are talking to each other all the time, I need to make sure that the timestamps are correct. Because the last thing I want to do is look at an error log or a message log, and the timestamps aren't correct. And then I can't tell who's in trouble, who's sending what messages where. So one thing I do is make sure you set the system clock. Now, you can either configure it with network time protocol, or you can manually configure it. Guess which one's probably better? Probably the network time management. Now, network time protocol is based on a hierarchy of clocks, and they've identified stratums, different layer of servers between you and the originator, the authoritative time clock. Stratum 0 is the authoritative, so it's pretty much the atomic clock, probably Greenwich Mean Time, and then it goes all the way through each different layer a little bit further away. Now, you can set up your devices as a network, time protocol server just by saying, hey, NTP server, give it the IP address. Show who's associated, who's with me, what is the status of my clock, show the clock. All of these commands help me verify either what I've received from an authoritative time source or ones that I've set up. Now, syslog is allows devices that sending you messages and allows me to log and extract messages that I want. So primary functions is it logs the information, but I can also select the type of message, and I can specify destinations that I want these messages sent to. Now, the syslog message format, it's 7 to 8 different severity levels, 0 to 7. And I can actually, enhance the service by making sure that I see the timestamp. So I want to enable, from a debugging standpoint, which way, what time in a certain event took place. Now, a syslog server, it actually says, now I'm going to parse out messages. This message is being sent all along, and you've seen it when you just turn on an interface and all of a sudden you say, hey, you also see a message come across the system. Well, the syslog server allows me to parse out what messages do I want to see. What timestamps are displayed, things of that nature. To send messages, I can to show if the logging's on or not, the show logging command. Now I can set the logging. I can set the IP address. I can set what are my sources or interfaces, either an IP address or interface number. And then I can say, what level am I trying to trap? What kind of message am I trapping? What level of severity? Since there's different severity levels, I want to make sure that I'm saying, I don't care about informational stuff. I want to know the ones that cause me problems. The ones that I need to be as an operator, an administrator, to want to flag my, action button to say, hey, I need to go do something. So you can set which level of you want. Now, as with any messages, you're going to get a lot of messages coming across your network. So the show logging command shows you all the messages, but if you use the pipe command like we've used in other aspects of the system, when you're just trying to do a page or you're trying to do a show run, but I don't want to see everything. I just want to see a small subject. I can pipe it to limit the amount of text that's being displayed. Now the question is, what about maintenance? How do I maintain the system here? Well, some of you have taken Linux, and you'll notice some of these commands look familiar because one, you got a basic show file systems displays all the files available in your file system. But if you want to know what are the files in my directory, in the current directory, dir is the command that'll show you the contents of the file system. PWD stands for present working directory. Like I said, it looks like Linux. That's really what it's based on. And CD says, hey, change to a current directory. So I want to move from directory A to directory B. I do CD. If I'm in A, going to B, CD space B. Now, some of you have used with TerraTerm or PuTTY, you can actually capture, let's say, a show run output to a text file so that you can back up or restore information. So you'll just have to go into either TerraTerm or PuTTY. Both of them have flags you can set. In this case, you're seeing TerraTerm saying I want to do a log. And then I'm saying, where do I want to put it? And then give it a file name. And then, so then you can cost. Then you can do a show run. All that stuff will be pointed to. Now, if you want to import that text file, you'll have to look at the text file. Sometimes TerraTerm or PuTTY will put garbage characters or at least header information that are non-Cisco commands. You may have to strip that out if you plan on importing that file. Now, I can also back up the store to a TFTP. So you've seen copy run start. You've seen copy commands before. In this case, I'm saying I'm doing copy the running configuration to the TFTP server. Now, when you do that, you're probably going to get asked, what's the IP address of that server? So just make sure you have it before you do it. So copy run, copy start, TFTP is just an external source that you can store information to. Now, based on the age of your switch or router, you may have USB ports. This is the picture you got here. You see a USB port. Some of the ones in our lab, some of the older ones do not. Now think about it. I may not have any in the lab that has a USB port, but you may run across it. Just know that it's USB flash 0, or if you have multiple, flash 0, flash 1. So now what happens if you forget your password and you got to reset the password? Well, when you ever get to the point where you say, hey, I need to enter in password recovery, there is a ROM monitor, an ROM mode that allows me to kind of prompts me through things very quickly. But what I want to do is say, I want to change my configuration register. So if you change it to 2142 hex, that's what the 0x stands for, is hex 2142, it will allow me to override, specify changes or to the original configuration file and then save it. But now you got to remember to set it back to its original setting, which is, I think, 2042. Now, your iOS file system. System 15 has several different standard packages. To know what you have, you can do a show flash, and it shows you the different files. And you see, in this case, you see the different layers. You got the IP base and then different layers of data. The list off to the side shows you how to interpret the file name. So you're basically looking for the bin file, and then based on which release you're looking for. In this case, 15.2-4 is I'm looking for, 15.2 version 4 of that operation. So how do I manage it? Well, TFTP servers are a great backup location. You already have a version on ROM and you have their flash, but flash on most systems is not enough to do multiple copies of your iOS. That's where a TFTP server is a good place to copy it. So you're going to need to, if you're going to back it up in iOS to the TFTP server, you got to access it, make sure there's enough space on your TFTP server, and then copy with the copy URL. So it's not very complicated, but just know that when you do copy that, you're going to ask for a space. So if your licensing's up to date, you can do show licensing. You can install new license. You can show which one's version and license that you have. You can activate. You can accept. You can back up your license so put it someplace where you know what that information is. And of course, you can uninstall your licenses and clear out any licenses if you're trying to back out of that. So hopefully in this case, you've understood a little bit about CDP, the linked list discovery protocol, NTP clock servers, a little bit about syslogs, and device maintenance. I know it's a lot of stuff, but these are things that you're probably going to want to know once you get into the world of being network administrators. Hopefully that helped a little bit, and maybe it's a little bit better than the videos that are online. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.